and I just keep getting preparation, preparation, preparation. Right now, between 7-7 and 7-17 is a big corridor, and it's actually ramping up for the Lionsgate corridor for the end of July, moving into the 8-8 portal, which is going to be huge. I mean, I don't think that I can even understand yet how big it's going to be, as far as shifts and as far as timelines. And what I've been getting is that anchoring in. The 8-8 portal is going to help with the anchoring in. So the shifts that we're experiencing now, the codes that we're receiving now, is going to be anchored in by the Lionsgate and beyond. But with this 7-7 to 7-17, it's just like 10 days of energy. And that's what it just feels like, 10 days of energy and light codes. And so with these light codes coming in, you might be purging some of the old energy that you were experiencing. It might be shifting beliefs. It might be shifting your perspective, your mindsets, even just a little bit more. And it feels like tweaks. It doesn't feel really huge. It doesn't feel like these are tower moments. It just feels like little tweaks. It's almost like, how should we put this? It's almost like you're just making like little adjustments. You're making little adjustments to your mindset. You're making little adjustments to your behavior, like little steps that make a big impact, that make a big difference. It's almost like when I shared with what I was experiencing some frustrations with regards to delays and timing, and really just, having to have patience and just go with the flow. I'm working on some big projects, and those big projects include other people. And so for me, if it was just me, I would have just been knocked out. It would have been done. But when it comes to other people, like, I have to rely on them and depend on them and, in essence, wait for them. And there's nothing that I can do about it but express myself and shift within myself and say, okay, I can't control what other people are doing. I can't control, what's happening. I can control how I feel about the situation. And so making those adjustments within myself and pivoting within myself and allowing myself to be more flexible actually opens up the energy anew. And there's a reason for it. And so once I allowed myself to get over the feelings of frustration, I allowed myself to take a step back and say, okay, what are the reasons for this delay? And how can I actually make this work in my favor? How can I actually utilize this in a way that feels really good to me? Because right now I don't feel so good. So how can I feel better? And so it's allowing yourself just to tweak how it is that you're experiencing something. If you're experiencing something that doesn't feel good, if you're experiencing something that just maybe it feels heavy, maybe it feels draining, maybe it feels frustrating, maybe it feels annoying, maybe it feels angry, allow yourself to always look within and say, okay, what is this showing me? How am I feeling about this? And how can I tweak this to make myself feel better? For some, it might be, how can you shift within yourself? How can you shift a belief? How can you shift a mindset? How can you shift a perspective? For others, it might be, how can I take action? How can I take a step to help myself feel better, or to resolve a situation, to reconcile something? For others, it could be, how can I have more patience? How can I have more kindness? How can I have more compassion? For me, like I said, it was just, okay, how can I use this as a learning opportunity and see it in a different perspective, so that this isn't working out the way that I wanted it to work out. So where am I actually being led? And I'm actually being led in a different direction. And it's just trusting the divine timing of things, just trusting in the divine timing. So if that's what it feels like is happening right now, it feels like we're in this kind of preparation mode where there's a ton of light codes that are coming in, and we're going to be integrating this and anchoring this in by the Lionsgate again, the Lionsgate pivotal for that anchorage. But right now it feels like we are receiving a lot of light codes, and those light codes are bringing some stuff up to be looked at in order to be tweaked, to be adapted, to be shifted a little bit. And again, it doesn't feel huge. It doesn't feel like tower moments. For some who might have been in resistance to growth and change within themselves, it might feel like tower moments. If you're in resistance, it might feel like a tower moment, because the universe will be pushing and pushing and pushing until you get it, right? Until you surrender, until you release that resistance. But for those who have been in that surrender, who have been allowing yourself to look at it from a growth perspective, an evolutionary perspective, okay, what am I learning from this? And what is this experience teaching me or showing me? For those who are in that energy, it feels just like continue tweaking. That's what healing is, and that's what growth is, and that's what evolution is. It's constant tweaking, it's constant adjustments, it's constant shifts within yourself. That's what evolution is. So embrace that, because that's what just brings you to new experiences in life. That's what brings you to new levels of yourself. So begin seeing the joy in the tweak. Begin seeing the joy in the pivot. Begin seeing the joy. See how that kind of landed on the third eye? That was kind of interesting. Um, Begin seeing the beauty and the growth and in the experiences that you're having, rather than in resistance to them, because everything teaches us, and the less we are in resistance to it, and the less we are like annoyed by it. And you're human, like, get annoyed if you're feeling annoyed, feel frustrated if you're feeling frustrated. You don't have to bypass anything that you're feeling, but then allow yourself to bring yourself back to presence, back to center, and say, okay, what am I learning here? What is this showing me? What do I have to adjust? How do I have to pivot? What do I have to release? How do I surrender? And where am I being guided now? And just go with where your heart is guiding you. There has been a heart pull between counterparts, and it feels as if, for some it's from the heart, for some it's actually being felt within the solar plexus, where it's almost like you can feel that cord. And when I say the cord, I'm not saying the cord as in the toxic cord, as in we create cords and connections with people. With your counterpart, it's almost like the red strand of fate. That's what it feels like, and it feels like it's like within the solar plexus. It's like that soul connection that you feel, and you might be feeling that within the solar plexus, that sense of longing for each other. But it's not a sense of longing as in like an obsession, as in a codependency or a need. It's a sense of longing as in a recognition of the beloved. You're recognizing the beloved. This could be energetically, this could be wherein you are actually having communication with each other. If you are in communication with each other, allow for softer energy, allow for more compassion and more kindness to come through in your communication, in your conversations. If you're not in communication, then you can be feeling this energetically, and just allow for you to express within the heart space whatever it is that you want to express, or receive whatever is being expressed to you energetically. Just tune into your intuition, and what is it that you are receiving, or what is it that you're feeling, and what is it that needs to be expressed. Allow yourself to just tune in energetically to that. So there does seem to be a softer energy coming through for the counterparts. I keep getting, as a song download, Taylor Swift, Happiness. Look up the lyrics or look up the song yourself. I just keep getting it. It just keeps replaying as something powerful for these counterpart connections. And it feels like a forgiveness. It feels like a recognition of each other. There was happiness because of you. There'll be happiness. There was happiness. There was happiness because of me. Like, there's this recognition of each other. There's this recognition of the connection, without anger, without resentment, without the pain. It's just coming back to the love. And I always say that there's always forgiveness between counterparts, between true counterparts. There's always forgiveness within the heart space. It's just the ego that lives in that pain, or lives in the wounded state, that has to be worked through, that has to be healed, that kind of blocks that forgiveness. But there's always an underlying energy of forgiveness and love between true counterparts. Now, that does not mean, unconditional love does not mean unconditional tolerance. You have your healthy boundaries where you say, I'm not going to allow this kind of behavior in my life, or I'm not going to allow this kind of action, or this kind of, to be spoken to this way, because you wouldn't allow it from anybody else, right? You certainly would not talk to yourself that way, or at least through your self-love journey. I hope not. But you still have that unconditional love for that person, and it does feel like that's being reciprocated between both of you. So whatever has been experienced between you two, it does feel like there's some kind of energetic, at the very least, reconciliation that's happening, and a more loving energy, a more forgiving energy that's being brought back into the connection. And again, I feel like that's coming from healthy boundaries. So that song has been really pivotal. The lyrics in that song have been pivotal, and there's a lot of different, as that song has been coming in over the past couple of weeks as a download for me, it's been different sections of the song at different times. So like this, take the song as a whole, maybe look through the lyrics and see how it's resonating with you at this time. The one that was resonating for me right now was, and I can't remember as I'm channeling, was You Haven't Met the New Me Yet. And we've been channeling for the past couple of weeks, months, years, that union is not going to look like what you expect it to. Union is not about, all of a sudden we're in union and everything is perfect. You still have a relationship with that person, and you still have conversations, you still have communication, you still have, maybe arguments and then repair, but it's a conscious relationship. It's working together rather than working against each other. It's union rather than separation. It's union rather than division. So many times when you come back into a new layer of your journey with your counterpart, you'll have to get to know each other. If you've been in no contact or if you've been in minimal communication, you'll have to get to know each other again, because you are not the same person that you were at the beginning of your journey when you first met, and you're not the same person that you were a few months ago, a few days ago, even yesterday. Time is really changing right now. The timelines are shifting so dramatically, and you can feel it within the energy. You're not the same person that you were, and they're not going to be the same person that they were. Well, hopefully, but that's where, again, you're shifting in your journey as well, where if they are the same person that they were and you've shifted and you can feel that you've shifted, well, then maybe that connection has come to a completion through free will and through choices and actions, and you're moving into a connection that is more aligned with you. There's a new kind of counterpart connection that is coming in. For others, again, there is that original counterpart that's going through a transformation along with you, a growth along with you, and you feel it within the energy, but you have to allow yourselves to get to know each other again, to build that foundation again. And you can acknowledge and look back at where you both were and recognize that you were both maybe in your wounded states, that when you met, you met for a purpose and there was unconditional love there, but maybe neither of you understood what unconditional love was, or maybe neither of you understood what true conscious connection and relationships was. And that's what this ascension journey brings you forth, or brings you through it. It brings you through that growth. It brings you through that evolution. Life is about evolution. This journey is about evolution. This journey is about growth. And so that's where you have a lot of kindness and compassion for yourself, that you don't know what you don't know. And that's where you have a lot of kindness and compassion for each other, that they don't know what they don't know. And so that's where you allow yourself to say, okay, this is where we were at the beginning of our journey, and this is where we are now. And even though it might not look the way we want it to, you tune into the energy of love, and you go back to the basics. You go back to the beginning of the journey. How did you feel in the beginning of the journey when you had that soul recognition? You just tune into the love. It doesn't mean that you bypass or ignore anything that you've been through. Maybe there's communication and conversations that have to be had. Maybe there are choices and decisions that have to be made. But you allow yourself to tune into the love, to understand what the connection truly has been all about. It's about that growth. And so again, at the beginning of the journey, you had that soul recognition, you had that love, but you were also almost like a baby just learning how to walk, right, through this ascension journey. And as spiritual and as awakened as you think you are, ascension is a major layer. Ascension is a whole new ball game, and it's new layers and new layers and new layers, and of understanding within the self-love, connection to God, and connection to each other. And so learning and growing with each other is vital for your union. It's vital for your connection. It's vital for your physical 3D relationship, whatever that physical relationship looks like to you. And again, you can have physical or healthy boundaries around that physical relationship, that 3D relationship, and what you want that to be. If you want a committed relationship, if you want marriage, if you want family, those are all desires that you have for a reason. You have to respect the other person, make sure that you're on the same page, make sure that you're aligned with that. And if you're not, that's when you can make choices. But again, it's about going back to the unconditional love that you have with each other and allowing yourself to say, okay, I've allowed myself to grow. I've allowed myself to expand. I understand healthy relationship more. I understand healthy communication more. I understand forgiveness more. I understand love more. I just understand more. And so you haven't met each other in this new energy yet. You've been through a whole growth journey. right? You've been through a whole growth journey and you haven't met the new versions of yourselves yet, of each other yet. You met the new version of yourself and you're liking that, but you haven't met the new version of each other yet. So keep that in mind as you're having communication, as you're having conversations, as you're feeling the energy, as you're meeting new people. Just keep that in mind, that you're different. And so the past will not repeat itself because you yourself are different. And if it seems like it's repeating itself, you allow yourself to shift your patterns, shift your behavior, shift your energy. And maybe sometimes that is about having a healthy boundary and instating a healthy boundary, but take it as it resonates for you in your specific situation. Okay, let's get into the reading.